Hi everybody! This is a story of one shredded tire, two broken inner tubes, 248 meters climb with my Brompton, and one crazy idiot who actually did this London to Brighton cycle. Shall we? So far my feelings about this event are a little bit mixed, to be honest. So the first point, it's definitely not an intermediate level cycling route as it's advertised pretty much everywhere. So it's extremely hilly with lots of very steep inclines and quite a long hill that you need to conquer throughout the route. So with a regular bike it's probably more feasible, but with a small guy like Brompton then it's a bit tricky. And especially if you are not the lightest cyclist as I am. Then the second point, the quality of the roads is not great at all. So again, if you are doing like a regular bike or even mountain bike, then I think it's perfectly fine. But for like the road bike, or especially Brompton with the small wheels and stuff, in some cases I would say it's not great at all. And then the last point, it's not a closed roads event, so you need to compete for the space on the road with motorists, cars and buses and so on, which sometimes can be fairly ugly and stressful. So instead of like a nice countryside ride and sportive, it quite often feels like a commute to work in London. So also doesn't add a lot of great positive things to the experience. If you are up to the challenge, I would probably still recommend it because the nature and the countryside views are amazing. It's a very beautiful route. But for Brompton, or if you are not in the very good physical shape, then either you need to really invest in preparing yourself for a challenging ride, or I would suggest to reconsider in favor of something like Tour de Cambridgeshire or Ride to London. I wanted to share with you a couple of points and learnings that I had throughout the sportive to help you make your next big ride as enjoyable and comfortable as possible. So learning number one, start preparing for the event well in advance, at least a couple of months, and study the route to know the elevation profile and all the kind of peculiarities of the road. To give you an example, so I did Ride London 60 miles ride last year, and it was probably 2 times easier than the one that I'm doing now, because it's extremely hilly, so elevation profile is just mad. And it's a shorter ride, so it's 5 miles shorter, and still it's much more complex. So you can account for these kind of things and prepare for them to do more climbing and more intense prep sessions and the like, but you need to spend some time on that, and to do so you need to prepare well in advance. Then the second point, make sure that your bike is roadworthy and start checking it at least, let's say, a week before the ride, so you have enough time to go to the shop and then fix something, and a day before the ride for anything funny that you did not notice before. Check all the key mechanical parts like tires, saddle, inner tube, brakes, and the like. Again, the unfortunate example from my end, so my rear tire was not in a good condition and it busted pretty much 5 minutes after the start of the ride, so something just sliced through it, and then I had to spend a good 30-40 minutes removing the rear wheel, replacing the inner tube, and doing all sorts of funny stuff. So make sure that your vehicle is roadworthy to minimize the chance of this kind of stuff happening to you. Then the third point, also regarding the prep, make sure that you have all those spare mechanical parts that you might need in case of something unfortunate happening. So make sure that you have a spare inner tube or 2. Make sure that you have enough sticky repair pads to patch up a puncture or small hole in your inner tube and the like. I did have one spare inner tube for this ride, which I used like 5 minutes after the start. So far had lots of fun, so my tire went bust and I got nice and intimate with my bike while removing the wheel and changing the tube. But then roughly halfway through I had my second inner tube going bust. So if I had the second one, it would save me a lot of time and effort to go to a shop, then buy a new tire, a new inner tube, and then continue the route. So there's no such thing as excessive number of inner tubes and then repair pads that you can carry on. Then the next point, also to this idea of preparing for the unexpected, it might be the case, unfortunately, that you have to leave the ride for whatever reason. Like your bike going out of commission, the tire going past, you being too tired or whatever else. And for that case, of course, it's very unfortunate, but you want to have a backup plan to get back to home safely. You want to have a bank card with you, a phone fully charged, a spare battery, and all these kind of things. It's very bad kind of emotional situation to step out of the ride, but it's even more stressful to be stuck in the middle of nowhere without any good way to get back home safely. And then the last point, also regarding the prep, but now prep for your body. So in addition to thinking about your bike, you need to think about your body as well. And what I mean by that are three main things: water, salt, electrolytes, and fuel, so food. So another stupid example from my end, I had my trusty canister of water with electrolyte solution in there, but then it was extreme heat all the way throughout the ride, and I basically emptied the whole 750 mils of electrolyte on the first pit stop. And then afterwards there was no good place to get a spare electrolyte tablet to restore amount of salt in my body. And I kind of feel the problem with that already. So hydration, restoring your electrolytes, and have enough energy to complete your ride is key, and you need to think and prepare for these kind of things in advance. So hopefully I should have another 10, maybe a bit less miles to complete the route, and see you at the finish line.
Straight down.
Well done to you three. Congratulations. Rider 112.